So we are interested in finding the area of the region in quadrant 1 that's bound by the square root function y equals the square root of x, the x-axis, and the line y equals x minus 2. So let's sketch our region and then strategize on the best way to find the area bounded by the function. So here's my x and y axis. Oops, that didn't work. Let me try to make that straight. Okay, that's all right, good enough. Here's the x-axis, here's our y-axis. Square root function looks like this. We know this region is also bound by the x-axis, and the line y equals x minus 2 has a y-intercept of negative 2 and a slope of 1. So this is just a sketch, not exact, just a sketch. So there's our line y equals x minus 2, but this region is also bound by the x-axis right here. So I'm going to take away this line that makes a rectangle at the bottom because we don't need that piece, right? Because we want the region bound by the three functions, the x-axis, the line, and the square root functions. That's the region whose area we're trying to find. Now, we've got to think about if we're going to use, we have functions of x, that means x is the independent variable, and we need to figure out what is the top function, what is the bottom function. It's possible that we might consider these functions as functions of y instead, and then we would consider what is the right function and what is the left function. But first, let's start thinking about if these are functions of y, which one's the top, which one's the bottom. So I'm going to just kind of I'm going to go across along our x-axis, and if we think here, well, we see here the square root functions at the top and the x-axis at the bottom. So same thing happens here, same thing here, same thing here, but something changes about right there. At this point, beyond this point, for larger values of x, we have the top function is the square root function, but the bottom function is the linear function y equals x minus 2. So this means that if we integrate vertically by thinking of this, the two functions as functions of x, we're going to have to create two separate integrals. And that's fine, that's not a problem. Let's set that up, and then we'll think about it, maybe if there's a better way of doing this. So if we're going to set that up, let's figure out what this value of x is, because we're going to set up our integral from 0 to that value with the top function being the square root function and the bottom just y equals 0. And then beyond that, we're going to set up an integral with the square root function being the top and the line x minus 2 being the bottom function. So we're interested in figuring out what will our limits of integration be. So we need both of those points that I have a little blue arrow pointing towards. So this first one is where the line y equals x minus 2 intersects the x-axis. So in other words, when x minus 2 will be equal to 0, right? So when the y is 0, I'm setting the two functions equal to each other. That will happen when x is equal to 2. So we know this x value is 2. And to find the x value of this point of intersection here, I'm going to set the two functions equal to each other. The line x minus 2, I'm going to set that equal to the square root function to figure out that upper intersection point right up here. So when is root x equal to x minus 2? Well, to find that out, I'm going to square both sides. And remember that when you square both sides of an equation like this, you might be introducing an extraneous point that will actually not be the solution to your equation. So let's see what happens. We get an x here, and when we square x minus 2, we'll have x squared minus 4x plus 4. That's a binomial that's being squared. So I'm going to move everything to the right side of the equation and set it equal to 0 so that I could factor the quadratic that we're obtaining here. So we have x squared. I'm going to subtract x. This gives us minus 5x plus 4 equals 0. And we can factor this, let's see, into 4 and 1, both negative. So we have here that x is 1 and x is 4. Now, first, let's think about the logic. It's not possible for that point to have an x value of 1 because we know that before that we have an x value of 2. So this cannot be a 1. This is our extraneous root. In fact, that 1 does not satisfy both equations. That is not a solution. It doesn't satisfy both equations because when we put it into y equals root 1, well, that gives us a 1 for sure. But when we put that into y equals x minus 2, that gives us a negative 1. These are not equal. So we got the solution when we squared both sides of the equation. So our point where the x value of the point where these two functions intersect is x equal to 4. So in terms of just setting this up, we're not going to solve it this way. We're going to solve it maybe in a more efficient way. But our setup to find the area between these functions would be, for the first integral, the part that's shaded in pink is going to be the integral from 0 to 2. And the top function there is the square root of x, and the bottom is 0, y equals 0, so I don't need to do that. This is just root x dx. And to that area, we're going to add the region that's shaded in blue. Along the x-axis, that's going to be from x equal 2 to x equal to 4. So from 2 to 4, and the top function is the square root function. And from that, we're going to, square root of x, sorry. Square root of x function. From that, we're going to subtract the linear function, which is y equals x minus 2. And I'm putting this in parentheses because we'll need to distribute that negative since we're subtracting the entire equation. So this is one possible setup. Very doable. We would just expand the blue integral, the integrand, use the power rule for everything, and we're done. But let's consider what would happen if we think of the functions in our diagram as functions of y. So I'm going to sketch the diagram one more time so that we can talk about it in terms of what might happen if we think of the functions in terms of y. So here's what we have, right? We know we have the square root function right here, y equals root x. We had that line. We don't need all of it because the region's also bound by the x-axis, so our line was y equals x minus 2. And what I'm trying to think of now is, would it be possible to think of these functions as functions of y? In other words, to think of them, if you're turning your head 90 degrees clockwise, thinking of the x minus 2 function as the top function, or the rightmost, and the root x as the bottom function, or the leftmost. So I'm thinking if we were, for example, if we were going to use Riemann sums, and split this up into pieces, then a sample rectangle would look like this, and its height would be at this y value, it would be the x value of the function on the line, of the point on the line, the x value of that point, minus the x value of this point. So we would do the green piece minus the yellow piece is going to give us the height of the red rectangle. So that means that we would do the rightmost function minus the left in one integral to get the area between the two functions. And what's good about this method is that it's always the case, if we look across all the way along the region, it's always the case that the line is to the right of the square root function. This never changes order. So that seems like a promising technique for us to find the area between the two functions. We're going to have to find our y values of integration, right? So basically I'm integrating along the y-axis, and my lower limit of integration is going to be 0, but my upper limit is going to be whatever the y value corresponds to this point of intersection. But we know that that point from the work that we did before has an x value of 4. So if we put 4 into either function, that's going to give us a y value of 2. So this is the point 4, 2, which means that y here is 2. Obviously, this is not drawn to scale. And so we're pretty much ready to set up our integral. We have to do one last thing, which is the way that our functions are written currently. So y equals x minus 2. This is written as a function of x. That means that x is the independent variable. And I'd like to write it as a function of y, where y is the independent variable, because we're going to integrate along y, the y-axis. So to do that, we can just solve for x. We can solve this line for x, adding 2 to both sides. So we get x is equal to y plus 2. And we're going to do the same thing with our square root function. I want to write this as a function of y, where y is the independent variable. So I'm going to square both sides, and this gives us that x is equal to y squared. And we know that y plus 2 is the rightmost function. So this is rightmost, this is leftmost, and we're ready to set up our integral. So this integral, representing the same region, is going to be the integral. I only need one integral this time because we always have the same right function, the same left function. In other words, the x values of the line are always larger than the x values of the square root function. So this is going to be, we're going to integrate vertically from 0 to 2, and we're going to do the line minus the square root function, but both have to be written in terms of y. So the line is y plus 2, and we're going to subtract y squared. And this is in terms of y because the width of each of these little rectangles is a little delta y. So in the limit, that's going to give us the differential dy. I like this one better than the one above in terms of solving it, right? The one above, I have to do 2 integrals, and I've got to deal with the power rule with root functions, which is not hard, but here I don't have to. So we're going to evaluate it using this second form. And that just means using the power rule. So we'll get a y squared over 2 plus 2y minus y to the third power over 3. And we're integrating from y equals 0 to y equals 2. And so applying the fundamental theorem here, when we put the upper limit of 2, we get 2 squared over 2, or 4 over 2, which is 2, plus 2 times 2 is 4, minus 8/3. And when we put in the lower limit, which is 0, each term will be 0. So I don't need to write that down. So this will be 6 minus 8/3. And 6 in terms of thirds is 18/3 minus 8/3, which gives us an area of 10 over 3. And that is the area bound by the x-axis, the line y equals x minus 2, and the square root function.